Hello and season's greetings once again, the Beth the chef. um, we are faster or quickly approaching Christmas Day. So this is another festive bake. But the inspiration behind this one is me and my husband David. We sat down, we had a good chat on what to make next. Our idea was a Christmas dessert because it's almost three choices really nowadays. It's or four, but it's Christmas pudding, or you get a cheesecake or a trifle, or Yule log. And I like the flavours of Christmas pudding, but I don't necessarily like the texture. Now, sorry if I offend anyone, but I think it's a lump of stodge, Christmas pudding. And it's quite a heavy thing to have after an indulgent Christmas dinner. So we collected our thoughts, and our idea behind this is going to be a Christmas Frangipane Tart. And it's got the fruitiness, the nuttiness, all the spices of a Christmas pudding, a little bit of booze. Now your ears have pricked up, eh? But not a lump of stodge. So, without further ado, let's bake. Got you there. So, the first stage for our Frangipane Tart is to make the pastry base, and this is a pâte sucrée base. Translation from French. A lot of cookery's French, to be honest. So the translation is sweetened pastry, but pâte sucrée sounds a lot better. So I've got 250 grams of plain flour, 100 grams of butter, but because I still had a bit from previous, this is my Christmas butter. Now, if you want to learn how to make the Christmas butter, the recipe is on last week's video, the Ultimate Christmas Barker episode. And if you just fast forward between 10-minute 27 seconds and 11-minute 45 seconds, the recipe's just there for you. Along with these, we got some salt, just some table salt, 100 grams of icing sugar, 2 eggs, and if you're wondering what the hell is that, this is a tonka bean, and yes, they are very hard to find in supermarkets. So yeah, I've did the trusty order from Amazon once again. And you can get little bags of these. Only going to use one in this recipe because they're quite a powerful flavour, and they got vanilla and ginger notes to the flavour, but it is still in a taste of its own, let's say. They're a great addition, especially at Christmas though. So they're quite firm, like nutmeg. So what I'm going to do is just to microplane it into the flour. You can also, if you slight sniff, you can smell and get an idea of what it tastes like already. So once that's done, our first stage, well, our first-ish stage is I'm going to add the butter to the flour, and along with the icing sugar. And then just rub with your fingers, essentially like crumble mix or biscuit mix. Right, so there we go, like breadcrumbs. And just with a little spoon, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. When it comes out. There you go, so just like a pinch of salt. Now this doesn't only help bind your pastry together, but for this recipe it's going to enhance flavours and in a way balance it out, because we've got sweet pastry, our compote with some sweet tasting fruit in it, frangipane, and our icing, so it's going to enhance and balance out. And then I'm just going to add 2 eggs. And using your hands, bind together to form a soft dough. Once it's there, I'm just going to make sure all the last bits at the bottom are picked up. There we go. So yeah, it's like a soft dough but not wet kind of thing you're looking for. It's like a Play-Doh consistency, I guess. Once it's here, shake it up a little. And I'm just gonna wrap in cling film. And gonna rest in the fridge for an hour just to firm up a little, solidify the butter. And while this is in the fridge, we will start on our fruity compote. Right, so I'm just collecting up the ingredients for our fruity compote. So we've got 50 grams of, wow, chop them to about this size, but it's diced soft apricots. I got 50 grams of chopped dates. These are soft pitted dates, and these ones are called, sorry for the mispronunciation, but Diglet Nor. I've not worked with this kind of dates before. I've worked with medjool dates, but these ones, they look slightly more translucent than the medjool dates. They still got a nice sweetness to them, a nice caramely honeyness, let's say. It is a little more subtle taste than medjool. So I've got 2 apples, and I've not done it yet because it will just go brown in colour, but we're going to peel and grate these apples. These are just gala apples. I've got some spiced rum, and I'm going to add 100 mils of this. into this jug, and this jug has just got zest and juice of 1 lemon. I've got my cherries, a can of cherries. These are red cherries. Because in my Black Forest macaroons episode, he used black cherries, but red have a sweeter taste to them, and it's gonna combine more with almonds and the spices of Christmas. Black cherries, they work better with chocolate, and as well in Black Forest Gatto. Along with these, I've just got here 6 cloves. So what we're going to do is add this all to a pan. In the pan, gonna weigh out 100 grams of light soft brown sugar, and simply on a low to medium heat, mix it together good, and let it do its thing till you get a nice compote consistency. Yeah, so that's everything in there. Now, Christmas puddings, yes, I'm not keen on the taste of them and things, but one thing that is great about them is they are very versatile in a way you can put whatever you want in them. Some people put carrots in them, maybe even pears, cherries and dates. Alcohol wise, we've gone for spiced rum, but traditionally you can do brandy, or a lot of shop bought ones, if you look at the ingredients, they actually have cider in them. And reason why I picked dates as well, because with sticky toffee, that's what enhances the sweet caramelly taste of them. And sticky toffee pudding is probably in my top 3 desserts. Right, so this is the kind of thing you're looking for. Cooked off a fair bit of the alcohol, let the flavours infuse, and I've just done the painstaking job of this to remove the cloves. Sometimes it feels like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack with that. So I'm just transferring this to a bowl, let it cool down a little, and then we're gonna check up on our pastry. So our pastry's nice and set. It's been in the fridge for just over an hour. But before we roll this out, I'm going to grease our pastry tin. Just rub it well with butter and flour, like you would with well, making a cake, if you go that method. And it's very important to use a lot of butter in these ridges, because you can get caught out on that. Same from past experience with this dish. Now, best way is to get little bits of your finger and just push it up. Once you're done with this, light dusting of the flour, you just bang along like so. We are like so. And you can always, with the excess, just to actually use to lightly flour your surface. And the pastry, and we're just gonna roll out. See, it's a little bit bigger than your dish. Alright, here we are, transferred to the tin. And don't worry if there's, like here, there's a little cluster of flour, because to be honest, when we get to the assembling stage, before cooking in the oven, this will actually help prevent a soggy bottom. So just neaten this up a little, get the excess off. And a little trick that my old head chef taught me is, if you get a little ball of your excess pastry and roll it about that size, you can even use some of this flour. You can actually use it to tuck into the nooks and crannies. Make sure you get that nice shape of your ridges. Just very lightly. This is very helpful if you're using like those small individual ridged tart cases. Yeah, we're good. You can even experiment later on down the line. You can maybe try and make some holly leaves with your excess pastry. Or freeze it, save it for another time. Now once this is done, I'm gonna just get in a fork. With a fork, back in the fridge for another hour to rest before blind baking. There we go. And going to start on our Frangipane mix. Gathered up my Frangipane ingredients. So I've got 150 grams of unsalted butter. We've got 150 grams of caster sugar, some vanilla extract for a little boost to the flavours, 3 eggs, 110 grams of plain flour, and 210 grams of ground almonds. Now the idea behind the Frangipane layer is for the slight nutty element that you would get in a Christmas pudding. So the first stage towards the Frangipane is the butter, add a splash of vanilla, and our sugar, and just like with a cake, cream it together till light and fluffy. Right, so the next stage is to slowly incorporate your eggs. And just do one at a time, just so the mixture gets every little bit. And then after that, you just add your flour and almonds and just leave your frangipane to one side. Now our pastry isn't far off, so I'm going to get our stuff ready to blind bake it. I preheated the oven to 180 degrees. So I've got baking beads here, which I've bought from Hobbycraft, but you can use rice as well. Just make sure you make a little bag for them, otherwise you'll get rice and beads in your pastry. What I'm going to do is get some cling film, get 2 sheets of it. Flatten it down and just get your beads there. And just tuck the edges in. So just use your fingers, okay, to get it all in the space there. And I've put a tray underneath because some of this excess, while it cooks, it could fall off, and you don't want a load of burnt pastry at the bottom of your oven. Right, so yeah, 180 degrees for 15 minutes, and then we're going to remove your beads and return to the oven for, well, keep an eye on it, but another 10 to 15 minutes. Here we are. So I'm gonna just leave this to cool for 10 minutes, and we'll neaten up the edges. Right, so the case has cooled down for a little, about 20 minutes. And to neaten up these edges, just going to lightly microplane. If you do this all the way around, all the excess will come off, and just you can tilt it and brush the excess off as well inside, so you can get the layers cleaner. So here we go, and I've taken it off the tray now, and the oven is preheated, but this time to 160. So we're gonna put a nice even layer of combat on. make sure it's all evened out. Another spoon. And then our frangipane, and this go all over the surface. Once it's ready in the oven, keep an eye on it again, but should take about 30-35 minutes. So just taking it out the oven now, and while it's cooling down, we are going to start our royal icing, and we'll need the mixer for this one. Right, so I'm going to go through everything before I turn the mixer on. But in here is 1 egg white. I've got liquid glucose, and all I'm saying is thank God for squeezy bottles, because it's a nightmare otherwise to get this out. Later on we need 1/3 of a teaspoon of this, and that's along with 1/3 of a teaspoon of lemon juice. And in here I've got, try and get it in camera, 200 grams of icing sugar. It's in a separate bowl. And what we're going to do is turn the mixer on to whip up the egg whites, and just like you would with a meringue, gradually add your icing sugar. Now I'm aiming for the 3 S's. Stiff peaks with meringue, shiny, and you want it quite soft as well and smooth. That's 4 S's. So once at that stage, we're going to lightly whisk in our glucose and lemon juice. Yeah, so this is the thing we're aiming for. And I'm going to transfer this to a piping bag, cut a little hole, very small hole, and we'll be ready to drizzle all over our Frangipane tart. Right, here we go, here's our icing. Just cut a small incision. And we're ready to drizzle. Now, do whatever pattern you want on here, go crazy. Even, I don't know, do some dots. Who knows, maybe even using a nozzle. Have a go with that. It's the great thing about these recipes. And have essentially, I can create a blank canvas for you guys to experiment and see what works best for you at home. So here we have it, our Frangipane tart, the pâté sucré base, the fruity compote, almond frangipane, and royal icing. And join us next time. We are going to be making a nice lamb excuse the pronunciation, mulligatawny soup. And we're going to home make some naan bread as well. So spread the word, Beth the chef, and once again, bon appetit.